Good evening. I call this meeting to order. Will you join us as Dr. Goldhart leads us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which it stands, one nation.
Thank you. And Dr. Goldhart, you got to attend a work session last week, but welcome to your first business meeting. We're glad to have you on board with us. May I have a motion to approve the agenda that would include the consent agenda items of personnel recommendations and a motion to accept a $1,000 donation to LHS Golf?
Madam Chair, I move to approve the agenda as presented.
Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The motion passes. May I have a motion to approve the minutes of the work session of June 1st, 2022?
Madam Chair, I move to approve. Madam Chair, I move to approve the minutes of the work session of June 1st, 2022.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The motion passes. May I have a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of June 15th, 2022?
Madam Chair, I move we approve the minutes of the regular meeting of June 15th, 2022.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The motion passes. Audience communications. Dr. Goldhart, would you, or Mrs. Baldwin's getting it first? Okay, thank you. And I realized that I also missed roll call. So Mrs. Baldwin, will you please do roll call for us?
Beth Baer,
Here.
Steve Gosar,
Here.
Janice Marshall,
Here.
Nate Martin,
Here.
Lawrence Perea,
Here.
Emily Siegel Stanton,
Here.
Kim Sorensen,
Here.
Jason Tangeman, Mary Alice Bruce,
Here.
8 present, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Superintendent's report, Dr. Goldhart. Superintendent's report. Thank you.
In regards to the budget narrative that you've received, I wanted to let you know that this staff has worked really hard in putting this together to give you the most accurate and the most current version, so you have time to review that before next week's official budget hearing. Trish Oppie is here and can answer any questions if you have any as well, who's really been taking the helm of that department. In regards to our business manager, I wanted to let you know that we were in the process of finalizing the offer. The preferred applicant is coming to town with their fiance to look at housing over the weekend and should be on the next meeting's personnel report. And I'm extremely pleased with the qualifications and experience of the individual. And I think you will be too. Perfect fit for us. In regards to the University of Wyoming Lab School, I first want to thank our teachers, parent, and representative from the University of Wyoming Teacher Education Department. A great collaborative group in our interviews. We had 3 especially strong candidates, which is a really good problem to have. And although he is currently in North Carolina, I want to publicly congratulate and welcome Dr. David Reiser as the new principal of the University of Wyoming Lab School. Just for your information, he earned his PhD in curriculum and instruction from the University of Wyoming, a master's degree in curriculum and instruction from the University of Wyoming, and an additional master's degree in educational administration and supervision from Western Governors University. He's currently the owner and operator and trainer of an educational consulting firm. He's also been a previous executive director and principal at Two Rivers Community School in North Carolina. And hopefully I'll say this right, La Pahoe Community Charter School in Hawaii. His own children attended the lab school at the University of Wyoming, and he said that it had a major positive impact on their lives, and they still associate with their friends from the school to this very day. He is 100% committed to the school's mission and vision. In our reference checks, we heard consistently that Dr. Reiser provides a very calm and caring presence, is a collaborator, a uniter, and has a laser-like focus on the needs of the whole child. And we'll be excited to have him join that great group. In addition, just want to remind the board about August 12th, to keep that on your calendars, 10 a.m., special day for the ribbon cutting of the new Slade Elementary School. August 12th, 10 a.m. Thank you.
Thank you. That'll be a great day to look forward to. And board members, I know this budget narrative was just added to board docs. So during the week, as you get a chance to review it, email Dr. Goldhart with your questions regarding that before our meeting next week. Chair's report, I will be attending the Wyoming School Boards Association meeting this weekend up in Thermopolis, and I'll report back to you after that. And as Dr. Goldhart said, we have that wonderful day to look forward to on August 12th for the ribbon cutting at Slade Elementary, and we'll be working on the program for that in the weeks to come, and that'll be a great day to celebrate the completion of that school. We'll move on to financials. Dr. Goldhart or Nasabi, I'm not sure who's going to do this.
Push the button. The other one. Turn red. Oh, yours isn't on. Here, you can borrow mine.
Trish Hoppy, Madam Chair. Trustees, it's nice to see you guys. Know that I've stepped in some big shoes here to fill. Not only did I step into Abby's shoes, I had to step into Julie's. And so that's been a little bit challenging in the fact of trying to pick up where somebody else has left off. First, I'd like to give you the revenue report. If you'll notice on one of the items that is highlighted, it'll be in a negative amount of $154,000. You don't normally see something on a revenue report in a negative. We did have a ADM Blitz bill that was sent to us. So we had to pay $154,000 for 2017, 2018. So that goes back quite a while. Know that we still have state audit going from 2021 as well, and pray we do not have any findings in that area. Other than that, revenue looks pretty normal to me. From what I can tell, nothing alarming. June accrual for general expenses, and again, nothing alarming to say. July, I would tell you we are right on with what we would normally spend in July. The other thing to remember with this year's budget, through our conversion, we did shut down the sites for about 5 months of spending. And so not sure if that truly impacted our bottom line. As you can see by the revised report that we gave for the total expenses for the month of June, we did end up with $600,000. And I do want to explain that one a little bit more to you because I realize Jubal has been in conversations with you and work sessions and everything else. And he tried very hard to get that step in there and was not able to figure that out at the very end. Tried very literally to the last minute to when he was here. The reason that I want to explain that one is at the very bottom of the report, in the field or the function that's an 8,000 range, isn't a typical range that would be pulled on our reports. However, it is a legitimate expense. And I'll explain it in the fact that in the past, for our Blue Cross Blue Shield, we always paid in arrears. And WBT came back and they said, we aren't going to carry you any longer. If I bill you for July, you have to pay in July. You cannot wait until after you've collected that money from your employees and submit it at the end of July. So Abby made the decision that we were going to catch up, per se, and pay currently, which we should have been forever. The problem with that one then is, where do you put that expense to? You can't go and hit that to every single person, because that'd be like doing a line item for 2,000 people. Pretty hard to do. So we chose to do it to this account that's in the 8,000 range. Also in that account, we had, so that total amount was about $660,000. So in theory, if you were to close up shop today, we would then have a receivable from the employees for that amount of money. Problem is, we are on a cash basis on this report. So where do you put it? Can't very well put it, so you have to put it somewhere. So it, in theory, on a financial statement, it's at the very bottom as other revenue, other expenses. The reports that were pulled prior to this did not include this number. Okay. The other thing that's in this account that brought that back down, when Jubal was working on the final part to do the step, payroll ran that last July and August payment or payroll so that it gets in the current fiscal year where it's supposed to be. When it was all said and done, that number was about $300,000. The difference now is $336,000 on top of that. And the reason is we had decided to do COVID pay. And that cost exceeded by far more than what Jubal had expected. And I visited with him this afternoon, and I said, when you were working those final numbers, did you realize that this final journal entry to move it from operating to federal had not been done? And he didn't. So another problem being when you're trying to step into somebody else's shoes, you only know what you know, and that's about it. It is my honest opinion that the $600,000 range is pretty dang close. There will be stuff that comes up in the audit, shouldn't be substantial, but I honestly believe that that's where we are at. When you go to look at the reports then for the July payments, you'll see that federal programs had to write a check to the general fund for $336,000. And that is the COVID pay to reimburse it. That's not normally how we would do it. The problem is that when we were in our conversion, we had to set it up somehow, and we had so many different things going on. We couldn't touch every single profile for an employee to add that as an option as a pay code. And not only that pay code that goes along with it is the sub, that if they had a sub for them that day. So Megan in payroll, she did the workup. The amount of the $336,000 are actual expenses. So she went to every single person that had COVID, looked at their daily rate, figured out what that would be. If in fact they had a sub, that lines right up with what their pay was for that day, and that total went in against that line item. The difference is we put it at the bottom as one line item. Ideally, when we're all said and done, this 8,000 range will be up in the 2,000 range in the payroll liabilities. That's where it really needs to be. Because that's what it is those payroll liabilities and those adjustments. Also in that range, it was at $800,000, and I had said that $660,000 was Blue Cross Blue Shield. You then also have MetLife, all of the other benefits that we pay, and you can't go to 200 or 2,000 different people to say $1 was for this person, $1 was for that person. We'd spend forever trying to figure that out. But in theory, once this is up in line where it's at, we'll roll that account up into those payroll liabilities. One account may show a positive, the other one will show a negative, and it'll net out. Madam Chair?
Thank you. May I have a motion to approve the financials, and then we'll have questions?
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the financials as presented.
Second.
So moved and seconded, discussions. First, I want to thank you, Ms. Soppy and Ms. Baldwin and everybody in the business department. Thank you for your dedication and all of your attention to detail and the extra work that you have done to
You're
work
welcome.
this. And I appreciate the complexity of what you've done and the complexity of stepping into other people's shoes. So thank you very much for your work.
You're very welcome.
Appreciate it. Questions, board members? Just one question on this audit amount, are those funds that have that 154,000 that will have to be paid out of the general fund? No.
No, they've already been paid.
Okay,
It's just that Donna was told to take it out of that fund account because you would offset it against the foundation account. And it doesn't really have an expense account that we have built in our account. There probably is an account, we just didn't have one built in our Skyward system.
okay, thank you.
It's kind of weird.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I apologize. Could I get a bit of an explanation on what a blitz audit is? I have no idea.
I believe a blitz audit is when they go in and they check literally down to the last day of whether or not that person's going to. And if you didn't show up for work and you claimed them that they did, then you get off. It's that.
Madam Chair, doesn't ADM have to deal with the student attendance, not the staff attendance? ADM is average daily membership, right?
I believe it's the blitz, and so it includes all. I may be wrong.
Because I don't think we get, well, I guess we do get funding from the state per teacher, but I've always heard ADM referred to in terms of attendance.
Average daily membership. Yeah, I don't know about the blitz. I remember at the time when the audit was going on, but I don't know all the details either.
It was before my time.
Madam Chair, Ms. Hoppy, you said that we're waiting for the other audits, correct?
Correct.
And you, did you say you anticipate there are going to be some findings?
I hope there are not any findings.
Okay.
For this next.
To what?
2021.
Okay,
That's a state audit.
okay.
And with the state audit, it would be the reimbursable expenses. Transportation,